Okay, what we've got here is the Nissan NP300 Navara N-Trek Warrior, and it's basically an NP300 with 2 or 3 modifications designed for off-roading. And that starts with the tyres and wheels, so let's take a look at that. What we've got here are Cooper 83 tyres. Cooper's a good quality tyre manufacturer, so it's good to see that they've run with a decent make there. A couple of important points on the tyres. They're light truck construction, that's the LT there. That means that they're stronger in the sidewall and in the tread area, exactly what you want for off-roading. And the size has gone up as well, so they're 275 70/17, so they're about 50 millimeters plus taller than the standard tyres, which gives you more under diff clearance. Nissan claimed 268 millimeters under the diff, but that's definitely not the case. Also good to see that they've gone for a 17-inch rim, which is this diameter here. Standard on the car is 18 that big. That gives you more sidewall diameter, which is exactly again what you want for off-roading. These wheels are also specific to the NP300, and there's one change for them apart from the styling there. The styling, by the way, is quite good because mud's not really going to stick in anywhere around here, so that's great. It's not going to get in the way there, and the valve is reasonably well protected there, which is good to see. But the dynamics change is that the offset is plus 30 millimeters as opposed to plus 45. What that means is that the whole wheel is 15 millimeters further out that way, and because it's 15 either side, that gives the car a 30 millimeter track. And because the tyres are 275 wide over here as opposed to 255, that's an extra 10 millimeters. So the car is a little bit wider than normal. And also we see here that's why these flares have been added on. They're not just for show, because the car's wider there as well. Now coming down to underneath here, we do have our revised suspension. So the car's lifted 40 millimeters in total. That's about 27 off the tyres alone, and then probably about 15 off the suspension. So both dampers and springs have been revised there. Now underneath here, the underbody protection, that's it. There's just one plate there. It is metal. It looks reasonably solid. It's not as strong as it could be, but nevertheless it's enough for them to see. There's one recovery point here, that's the standard. Would have been nice to see a couple of recovery points either side marked red, but that's not the case here. Up at the front we've got a single light bar. That's a 470mm light bar. It does make a bit of a difference. It's not a fantastic light bar, but certainly better than nothing. Round at the side we've got a this really needs to be swapped out. This is just kind of the standard plastic sort of side rail here, and that's got to go because that's just going to get smashed off-road. For any vehicle calling itself an off-road warrior really needs to get rid of one of these. At the back, standard drum brakes, so there's discs at the front as usual, but still standard drums at the back, so no change there. The engine, by the way, is completely standard. There's no changes whatsoever. There's no extra driving mode for sport or anything else like that on this car. At the back, so unusually for a ute, you can see underneath there we've actually got coil springs at the back, so it does flex and ride a little bit better than the leaf sprung utes there. So that's standard to all NP300. It's certainly not unique to the Warrior. Now this tow bar really needs a bit of revision because it hangs a little bit low. You can see there's extra depth there. There's no reason that couldn't be moved up to about here-ish, and it does go a little bit too low for off-roading. That said, there's nothing particularly bad for it to hook on, and it's good to see that Nissan have moved the electrical socket, 7-pin electrics there, up out of the way, so that's fantastic. And you've got the parking sensors here which can be disabled. Reversing camera there, and there's no one touch on the tailgate, but still that it's not too heavy. You've got 4 tie down points there. There's one of them. You've got a tonneau cover there, and then you've got this attachment here which is pretty good. You can hook something around the side there, and that sort of goes in. A bit fiddly, but we'll go like that, and then you can slide it up and down, tighten it in, and then you're away. So Not a bad design from Nissan there. Okay, now let's go inside and start talking about how it's going to drive. Okay, so let's take a look at the NP300 in action, the Navara Warrior. And here you can see it's a fairly wet, muddy day that I'm testing it on. I'm just going to get a little bit of cross-axle. Then see the traction control works pretty effectively, comes in fairly quickly and pulls the car through. Not the best on the market, but still pretty good. Coming downhill now, this is where I've got some significant criticisms of the car because, well, let's start with the good first of all. The hill descent control is excellent. It works down to about 2 kilometers an hour. I've got a video for that a bit later on there. No problem with that at all. The engine braking is also fairly good. Yes, it's an automatic, but these days automatic engine braking is good. 7 speeds, pretty decent low range. The problem comes with the gearing, because what you find is that the vehicle will be descending in, let's say, first low, and it won't allow you to go to second low when you want to go to second low when the hill evens out a bit, or you're coming down in second and you can't get it into first when it steepens up a bit. It just says, nah, can't do it. And there's plenty of rev range to be able to shift the gears. Ford would let you do it, Land Rover would let you do it, plenty of other vehicles would. Now this is coming down a not very steep but very slippery incline, and I've got the hill descent control on, and look at the left hand wheel and just see that sort of lock up and unlock as the ABS based hill descent control starts to work. There it goes, it's locked, unlocked, and that's a pretty effective way to go. You always feel like you've got control and the vehicle's doing the best it can to maximise the traction, so good work there by Nissan. Now this is again feet off the pedals, and this is just first low, just purely using engine braking. It's a little bit quicker, but the wheel keeps rolling further. If the hill was steeper, then obviously hill descent control continue braking. You can see it there, just going a little bit faster there, and I don't think it does quite a good job of slowing the vehicle as with the hill descent control. Only. Now here we come up the hill, and we've got now electronic traction control on, so just go a little bit off centre on the ruts there and just working the vehicle hard. Traction control works on, brake traction control works on all 4 wheels. You can see that it's fairly effectively pulling the vehicle forward. And it gets to that point and increasing the rev slightly, you just get more torque going across to the opposite wheels, and that pulls the vehicle through. Here I'm coming up with the rear locker engaged, and with the rear locker the traction control either doesn't work on the front axle or it doesn't work very well, one of the two, because you can see, take exactly the same line, go up there, work the car a bit going into the ruts. A bit more effort required there to bring it up, because again, once the rear axle's locked, that's it. It doesn't get any better where the traction control is more effective. You can see it's just not going to go any further. Look at that front left wheel. There's absolutely nothing happening with the front left wheel there at all. And whereas with traction control activated and the rear locker deactivated, you'd get some torque going to the front left wheel. You could pull the vehicle forwards. You can see that the rear axle is not going anywhere. The rear left has got very little weight on it. The rear right has got weight on it, but it's up against that little ledge there, and it's really up to the front left wheel to pull things through, but there's no torque going to it. You would get that if traction control is enabled on the front wheel to any significant degree. So just back it up a little bit. Give it a few more revs. Now this is the point where I'd like to be able to start in second gear, because it's not that steep, and I'd like to be able to, you know what, I want to launch in second gear, but no, you can't do that. You have to launch in first gear. Really annoying. Okay, now here we come up the hill. Same sort of problem with the gear shift, and that's that gears, well, you're going up there and you think, okay, I'm going to go up this hill in third gear, low range, and the engine will do that. It's 7 gears, plenty of ratios to choose from, but hard to do that because it won't let you do it. It will either go up in second or go up in first, and trying to change it up or down a gear is a problem. So, you know, you're coming up a hill
you're going up in third low, it's all looking good, you think, yeah, I need to knock it down to second or first for that. Can't do it. So you get to the tough bit, you slow down, and then the vehicle goes, oh yeah, okay, you may as well slow down now, and it's a bit late. You kind of lost your momentum. You want to be able to get into the gear before you get to whatever you're going to go over. But power-wise, and once it actually gets the right gear, it's pretty effective. Okay, here we're coming down off a rocky ledge, and it's nicely controlled. The visibility out the front is good. Front bash plate works well. Got those damn silly side steps. Really, I mean, how on earth do you think it's a good idea to build an off-road vehicle and put plastic side steps on it? And it's like number one thing. We say get rid of it, and what did Nissan do? They just put it on stock standard, just not thinking. Anyway, the tyres are great, steering's good, visibility is good, all of that is great. Brake is good here. You can see wheels in the air, and coming through to look at the right angle. All of that is fairly easy to modulate, so no problem there at all. It looks fairly effective. That low tow bar really is annoying. I'll come on to that a bit later on. Okay, going up the other way now. It's a part-time four-wheel drive, so there's no clever centre diff or coupling, which means that it doesn't go around corners that well, but that's highly unique to the Navara. Going around here, and just wait for the vehicles to catch on a rock, and use the traction controls to get it up and over a little bit. Works nicely. Throttle control is not too bad. There's no terrain management system, but I don't mind the throttle control. It's quite well calibrated. Getting used to gearing is an issue. Okay, here the problem is that we kind of run out of traction there, and so what I'm going to do is, because there's actually high traction on the rear axle, then I'm going to engage the locker, and this is where the locker comes into advantage. On the previous clip you saw that there was mud everywhere and the back axle had completely lost traction, so the locker wasn't really doing any good at all. Here, however, the rear left wheel has a lot of traction, and I want to be able to go real slow, so the locker is the way to go. So that's what I'm going to do. Let's go back. You can see the locker just came in there, and there's just minimal wheel spin now, and off it goes. Okay, now this was a bit surprising, so I put the vehicle on a weighbridge, and you can see there that claimed tare weight is 2200 kilos. We weighed it at 2200 kilos, Nissan's claimed was 2186. Maybe there's 14 kilos of mud on it, who knows, but whatever, we can let that one slide. What you can also see here is that the front axle weight is 1260 kilograms, and the front axle load limit is 1320. So that gives you 80 kilograms over the front axle, which is not going to be enough. So you put a winch over the front of that, and because the winch is ahead of the front axle, it's going to be more weight on the front axle than it would if it was right over the top of it, or two people in it, and you're pretty quickly going to run out of front axle limit. Now this is not unusual for Utes. Toyota had this problem on the Hilux, and they've uprated the front axle since. Ford Rangers run out of it pretty quickly as well. Interestingly, when Ford did the Ranger Raptor, they actually increased the front axle load limit quite a bit. So I put this to Nissan and did not get a response, just completely ignored the question. One other interesting point is that the claimed fuel consumption is 7 litres per 100, which is exactly the same as the standard STX, yet this vehicle weighs 200 kilograms more and has greater unsprung mass, and it's taller, so not as aerodynamically efficient. It's got a light bar. Those tyres are not as fuel efficient as the standard ones. All of that adds up to it. It's not going to do the same fuel efficiency as a standard STX, yet it's claimed to have exactly the same one. So I asked Nissan about that, and they said, oh, because the modifications aren't so great, then we can assume that it's going to be the same fuel consumption. And I said, okay, well, that's fine, but the reality is if you've got a vehicle that's with these modifications and weighs 200 kilograms more, it can't be. I don't care what you put on your website, but the physics are physics, right? I mean, you can't do that and then claim the fuel consumption, but that's what the law allows them to do, so that's what they've done. That said, it is a pretty fuel efficient ute. I was impressed with that, and it does have a reasonably large 80 litre tank, so it is good for fuel efficiency, but I don't believe it's going to be 7 litres per 100 on the official test cycle. Now, storage around the vehicle. I always like to look at storage in the back, and you can't pull down the rear back seat to put anything behind it like you can with a Ranger. You can lift up the rear seats like that, and you get this kind of storage space. It's mostly filled with the jacking equipment, as you can see, and there's no sort of plastic tub in there to put things in, so not great, but better than, I guess, absolutely nothing. Okay, let's talk about towing. So, like any ute, the maximum towing capacity of 3,500 kilograms is just marketing, really. It's like marketing people have just overridden the engineers, and that's bad. Particularly bad for this one. Reason being is that you can see here on the placard, when you've got a towable down force of 100 kilograms, you've got to drop your GVM by 130, and when you go to 300 kilograms you drop it by 410, which is a lot. So that's probably a mark against the vehicle compared to others, because that does reduce the weight the vehicle can weigh whilst towing. Also, if it can tow 3,500 kilos, it really should have a maximum towable download of 350 kilograms, and it's only 300, so that's not ideal either. So what I've done is I've calculated that the maximum the vehicle can weigh when it's towing its 3,500 kilograms is 2,410 kilograms, which gives you about 224 kilograms of payload. So if you weigh 80 or 90 kilograms and your mate weighs 80 or 90 kilograms, well, that's not much left for payload. So what this is basically saying is, like every other ute on the market, this headline figure of 3,500 kilograms, just forget it. If you bought one of these, I would be looking to seriously tow up to 2,500 kilograms. I think it would do that very well. But, you know, the maths, the weights, it just doesn't support anything in the real world higher than that. Again, not unique to the Navara, but I'm just calling out here because this is a review of the Navara. Inside of the car is pretty nice. I don't mind all of the extra stitching and so forth that they've got there. The Navara cabin isn't too bad. It's reasonably fresh and modern, and I've added a few extra cosmetic fripperies as well. Do like the electric seats as well. Also, I really like the 360-degree camera, and you can see there, backing up to a trailer, you can see the tow bolt there, and that's actually at night. So that's with no retouching of the photograph. It's fantastic that they've got a 360 camera in this thing, and also the way that the whole thing is illuminated by the reversing light, so it makes it really easy to hook up the any trailer. So well done, Nissan, on that. It's those little things which to me start to make you going, yeah, that's really good, when you start to pay attention to details like that. Okay, now we come to the tow bar, still on the subject of towing. Now, what they've done is, because the tyres are taller diameter, they have changed the tow bar, but unfortunately they've dropped it down. You can see it drops a fair way down beneath the number plate there, and that's disappointing because it just gets in the way. What they should have done is make it as high as possible so the departure angle isn't ruined, and then just use the drop hitch. Exactly what Ford did with the Ranger. You can see their bar is tucked up all the way there, and of course there's no recovery points. You can see on the Raptor there, they've actually added recovery points into the tow bar. Nissan haven't done that for this, and again, specialist off-road vehicle, haven't engineered in recovery points. What's going on? I asked Nissan about that, again, no response. So, you know, it's, yeah, an oversight of huge proportions. And now we come to another incorrect claim, which is they reckon it's got 260 millimeters of ground clearance. That's underneath the rear diff. Does that look like 260 to you? Nope, it does not. I reckon that's 238, 240 at the most, and it's a long way off. So why do they claim it's got 260? Because they confuse running clearance with ground clearance, and the two are not the same. I won't go into what running clearance is now, but it's a completely irrelevant measure as far as four-wheel drives are concerned. The only thing we care about is ground clearance, which is the point under basically the biggest box you can drive over, and that's not 260. Now 238mm is not bad. It's not bad at all. Again, we've got taller tyres on it, but it's not 260, and Nissan really need to pull that claim off their website because it's just wrong. Nice little rear window at the back, electrically operated. Can't really think of a reason for it, but it's pretty good. Okay, now here's my summary of this vehicle. So on the good points, it's got a factory warranty. You just basically buy it, pick it up, and everything's warranted. Your tyres, you're not going to, your wheels, what little suspension lift it's got, it's all there. It's great. And I think that they've made a really good choice on the tyres. They haven't gone super wide like 285 or 295 or anything else like that. 17-inch wheels as well is great. So glad I didn't go to 18s or 19s. That was a really good choice to see that. And the Cooper 83s are a good tyre. I've run them myself, and I've been impressed with them. So good choices there. And I think it looks pretty schmick as well. I think that the bull bar is beautifully designed. It's metal, so it will give you some protection. Although, yeah, you can't really put many accessories on it. Certainly not a winch. And I like the highlights as well. So that's all good. On the negative side, it's not good value at all. Not good value. So really, you're looking at tyres, a basic bash plate just at the front, a basic bull bar, a basic light bar, and a little bit of a suspension tune and some stuff inside, and a tow bar. Now, out of that lot, like I said, I know you need to throw the side steps away, that's for sure. If you're going to buy a bull bar, you'd probably buy a winch compatible one. If you're going to buy a tow bar, you'd buy one which doesn't hang down so low. So of the accessories they've put on there, and they're not really the best choices, to be honest. And they charge a lot of money for it as well. I would, however, say that they have recalibrated the electronics on this vehicle, and if you build your own aftermarket, you won't get that. That said, I don't think that makes much of a difference in reality, and I think that for the extra money you pay, it can't be seen as good value. Now the gearbox is actually pretty smart generally, but when you get into off-road situations, it becomes pretty dumb and you can't override it, and that is the biggest inhibitor to this vehicle's off-road capability for sure. Front axle load, yep, it's right up there on the front axle load, so I think if you put any form of significant load into this, you're going to exceed your front axle load, and so Nissan just don't have an answer for me on that. And towing capability is not what it's actually claimed to be, but again, that's true of pretty much every ute. So there you go. So that is my review of the Navara NP300. If you look on Unsealed 4x4, you'll see all of this and more written up, or you can just follow my Facebook page and ask me questions there about it. And let's see what happens in the future with the N-Trek Warrior line.